is Daniel Touche. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm vertical, so not too shabby.
Well, good.
How's your Friday morning treating you so far?
Good, good. I'm
Good.
just zipping around, trying to get some things done. About to go to a listing appointment and a showing here shortly, so
Oh,
just kind
right
of
on.
preparing for that.
Yeah, I just got your text. I've been on back-to-back Zoom meetings already this morning. So, wanted to try and touch base with you. My last call wrapped up pretty quick. You'd emailed over a property on 103rd Street.
Yes.
Um, I'm looking at it. Are there? This is a 55 and up community.
Yep, it is. It's
Okay.
an area called Spruce Creek North, kind of near like southwest Ocala. It's
Okay.
not in a gated area or anything, but it just has a monthly HOA, which covers quite a bit of amenities like pools and things like that.
Okay. So, 55 plus communities are a little more difficult for us because they usually have rental restrictions. Do you know if there's rental restrictions here?
Um, I'm not positive whether they have an approval process.
Okay.
I do know that there is a form that has to be submitted, like an HOA form for purchase
Mm-hmm.
purposes. I know I've had investors buy at 55 and up before, and they haven't been that strict,
Okay.
but those are in other communities.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we'll take a look at it. 55, like I said, they're usually a little bit tough on us, but we will look at anything where we can make money. I don't think this would be a cash purchase for us. Um, just from what I'm seeing, the comps probably aren't a huge amount higher than what the price is right now for ARV. So I mean, we would have to get it drastically lower in order for us to be able to make any money on a flip, and that's not going to help your seller. So I just don't even want to waste our time with a cash offer. Um,
Sure. Um, what the situation is over there is I have a kind of an elderly seller. She has
mhm.
moved out. She lives out of state with family.
Okay.
Her nephew has been kind of the point of contact. He's in Georgia.
Okay.
So they're both sitting in different states.
Mm,
I've had that property listed since July.
okay.
I've been trying to get them to do a reduction. I sent them over a price change form the other day, and they were going to talk about it and stuff. Um, I need it sold,
Yeah.
and so we've had a couple investor offers, but then nobody's really followed through with it, where I think I can get them to take a lower offer and say, listen, this is where we're at. This is what it is. I've pulled fresh comps for them the other day again to say, listen, this is kind of where I'm seeing it at today.
Yeah.
I just need a legitimate offer in paper, on paper to show them
Sure.
to see if they would bite on it.
Sure. I mean, we would be insultingly low with cash. Just we don't typically buy with cash unless it is a flip. So like
Yeah.
I mean I don't think I'm gonna help you. And typically I'm totally cool with like just submitting offers even for people to turn down, just to help out a realtor. But I think in this case it would actually do more harm than good. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't want you to submit an offer just to it would, obviously we would want it to make sense.
Well, I
But
mean, yeah, I mean, if we submitted an offer, we would stand on it. If they accepted it for some crazy reason, we would definitely move forward. I'm just saying, sometimes agents will reach out like, "Hey, can you just submit something on this? Just so I have something to take to them." And we know full well it's not going to get accepted. But
yeah.
the way we write them, if they do happen to accept it, we'll still move forward with it.
Yeah, well, that's a way to get multiple offers, I suppose. And,
Yeah.
it's happened before where, an agent submits something, you're like, well, I actually have multiple offers. And
Yeah,
just
it's usually kind of in this situation. They're like, I just need something to take to them to get them to reality, but we'd be so far away, I think, from what they're thinking. It just like
yeah,
wouldn't help your case.
yeah.
Let me ask you this. So this is probably not a solution for them, but would they do any type of seller finance?
I don't know. I doubt it. The reason why is because the sweet lady, her daughter was not 55, but they both lived in the community together.
Oh, okay.
The daughter actually passed away, which left the elderly
Mm,
lady, and she is pretty grief stricken. It's really
yeah,
too much for her to comprehend and handle,
yeah.
and that's why that's why the nephew is kind of involved. But if you have an option like that, I mean, we haven't had any offers. I mean, nothing solid to give to them. I had an investor the other day pursue it, but then he said, "Well, I didn't realize it was 55 and up." And I'm like, oh, crap. So I don't know. I know she had a $30,000 mortgage left. I believe she went ahead and paid that off. So I believe she owns it outright now.
Okay.
But potentially, I mean, if the terms were there.
Sure. Yeah, I mean,
if the nephew can help out with that, and I mean, obviously, I can explain that. I did an owner finance deal pretty recently. We actually had one of our local real estate attorney just kind of draft up a mortgage for us.
Yeah.
That kind of laid out some terms. Because their alternative is going to be, do we turn it into a rental? Do they cancel their listing agreement with me? I don't know. I mean, at this point, we're wasting time sitting at 216.
Yeah.
Because we're just not going to get it.
Right.
And I'm just being super honest with you, you know.
No, I've been an agent before. I know exactly how you feel.
You know, I mean, it's literally just sitting on my docket, just dying because we're not. Our price doesn't make sense.
Yep.
So let me ask you this: what do you think you would be at with cash?
Oh, jeez. I mean, maybe I have not dug into the comps, but I mean, I see only maybe 225, 230 as an ARV price. So I mean, I'd have to be 70% of that at least. So I don't even know what that is.
70. So you'd be 70% of 225.
Yeah. 150, 155 maybe. That's if and I don't do the numbers, so if my partner believes those are the right comps, then we could maybe do that. But again, he hates 55 plus. He's just dude, don't even look at 55 plus. I'm like, hey, I want to help people out and find solutions, and if it makes sense on paper.
You would be treating the cash as a flip.
Yes, we only do cash for flips.
Yeah, I gotcha. Honestly, I'm not opposed to presenting that to them. Because I wanted them to reduce it. I want them to reduce it to 185.
Yeah.
So we're at 216. I want them to be at 185. And that way we would get an offer from, and not a wholesale investor play, but if a buyer was going to come along, they would probably submit an offer somewhere at I don't know, 185, 180, 175, and then that would make sense. But they're sitting on that because that's $30,000+ under where they're at.
Yeah.
The good news is it has a clean 4-point. There should be nothing really that has to be done from a flip perspective. It's literally just kind of putting it back on the market and relisting. I mean, if you wanted to remodel a bathroom, that one bathroom that has a little bit of stonework, that could be done. The ceiling could be updated with some hard surfaces, things like that. I would probably add, if I was going to flip it, we have a flip business too, but we're trying to sell some of our stuff before we buy anything else right now. I have stuff of ours listed that's sitting. I would probably fence in the backyard. I think that would make a huge difference. And other neighbors have fenced backyards also in there.
Are there newer or remodeled properties that have been selling in this neighborhood?
So there's this neighborhood that's Spruce Creek North, and then right across the street is Cherrywood, which is another 55 and up. That's very similar. It's paved road but not gated, and so my comps are pulling out of there also, a few of them, trying to keep them all in Spruce Creek North, but also pulling a little bit out of Cherrywood because they're very, very similar in there. So I would say mess around with it and see what you think. I mean, I could present 2 offers to them. Here's your cash offer, or here's a owner finance offer. Let me know what y'all think.
Yeah.
The other thing is if for, like I said, for 55 and up, I have stuff. I have an investor right now that owns a property in Falls of Ocala, which is 55 and up, and they didn't care that he wasn't 55 when he purchased it. But I don't know if Spruce Creek North is gonna specifically check to make sure that someone's 55.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have a business partner or owner that is 55.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah, I guess I didn't even think about that. We probably have to be 55 ourselves if we're going to
the
purchase it,
owner,
even if we're
well,
going
at
to.
least one person that would be there would have to be 55. But I'm not.
If we're
I would have to.
purchasing to make it an investment property, it doesn't matter.
I don't know, and I would need to check on that and see.
Yeah. Like
See what that looks like.
the only 55 plus that I've personally been involved with is actually with a different business partner, and we bought an entire community.
Oh, okay. Let me
So like
look on the.
if that
And it
like
might
in
be.
that case, we don't really care about 55 because then we can control the entire area, you know. And
Oh yeah,
if we
sure.
decided to not make it 55 plus, we could. Like if we felt that was keeping us from establishing the area, but um, yeah, let me know if there's restrictions on that before we do anything. And I still have to convince my partner because he's the person that says no to all my ideas.
Yeah, no, I get it. I totally understand.
I'm the relationship guy. So let me ask you this: you sound pretty savvy, and you obviously do flips, and you've done seller finance before. Do you have anything else I can look at, or do you have a person that you kind of go to in these situations where stuff is stagnant, and you're like, "Hey, I need a creative solution to what's going
Um,
on here."
I just have a handful of investors that kind of contact and say, hey, we're looking for this, or we're looking for off market. My
Okay.
little flip business, we have a couple properties on the market right now, so we're not really trying to buy anything new until we sell those.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to drop, like actually that 3204 Southeast 34th Street, I'm part owner of that property. But I don't want to keep, but we've already renovated it, and I don't
Yeah.
want to keep dropping it because I want to make money on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is actually I own that, a third of that property.
Okay.
So we've just done dink and dunk reductions to try to get it down some, and I just keep praying that rates will drop so we can get a contract on it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a few things on the market right now. We have one pending, which this
You guys,
lady, her
you guys
husband
have a
refuses
hard
to
money
sign
loan
up
on
for-
that on 34th?
The 3204 Southeast 34th. So my business partner doesn't want to do owner finance because
No,
we
I
have
was
another
asking
property.
if you guys have a hard money loan on it.
We bought it cash, so
Oh,
there's
you
no
did?
mortgage on it.
Okay, I didn't know if you had to get a loan for the
Yeah,
flip or anything.
we don't have any kind of mortgage or anything on it, but
Oh, that's good.
we bought it for 175. Probably
Nice.
have about 85 or 90 into it now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a road assessment that's paid annually as part of property taxes. And we've been upkeeping. Like we renovated the pool and been paying $150 a month for a pool, and so we definitely have a good bit of money into it. So we really need to sell that a good bit over 300. We're at 325 right now, and so it's like, shit, are we going to get that back? But we can't. I'm not ready to take a loss. I mean,
Yeah.
my husband and I are about to go over there and chainsaw, chop up a tree that fell in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
So we have kind of our time in it also.
Yeah, 100%. No, I get it.
So that
I
was
was
a
just
tough one.
yeah.
And then we own one also. Part of the reason why one of my partners doesn't want to owner finance is because we have one under contract where we were going to closing. Husband's refusing to sign one document. So this lady has lived in our house, paid month-to-month rent for now a year and a half, waiting for her divorce to be finalized.
Oh, jeez.
So that's a hot mess. But now our money, I mean, yeah, we're making monthly rent, but she's really tying up our cash.
Yeah.
So long story short, we have a couple properties that are just a little messy that we need to get sold before we buy something else.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. Okay. Well, the reason why I kind of asked is like we buy stuff differently, and I know you have like seller finance buyers and stuff like that, but our approach is a tiny bit different, and I think we're can be a little bit more creative and a little more flexible than most. So like honestly, my goal in these phone calls is to like to get a relationship going, and just so you're like, hey, you know what, these are the guys I'm going to call when I have a property that's been sitting on the market for a while and it's not going anywhere. Like now I know who to call, and they'll bring a couple of different options. Like usually when we make an offer, we'll give like at least 2 options, sometimes 3. So we'll like do, depending on the property, if it's like borderline on a flip, we'll do a cash, and then we'll do creative, and then we'll do like 2 versions of creative, whether that's seller finance or a mirror wrap or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So like, let's just use 103rd Street as an example. Like, if we were going to move forward with an offer on this, like, just out of the blue, let's just throw out everything that we talked about out the window. I'm just going to use it as an example property. So if the price is 216, we'll come in at 216, and
Uh-huh.
then we'll say, what terms are more important to your seller? Is it the cash up front or is it the monthly payments?
Mm-hmm.
And then, basically we just need to, after we pay the seller each month, we need room to cash flow, is kind of how
Yeah.
we approach properties. And then we will also pay your commission and we will pay the seller's closing costs as well. So we're trying to give them wins as much as possible, as long as we can win on the terms that, let us cash flow
Yeah.
on the property. And
Sure.
so, like, sometimes we're a good fit for folks like that are retiring and like maybe moving into a nursing home, and they'd really appreciate the monthly income. So we kind of
Yeah.
structure it that way. And sometimes people are like, hey, give me 10 or 15% down. I don't really care about the monthly payments because I'm going to make more money with the interest. So, whatever, knock
Mhm.
yourselves out. I just care about the long term and I need some cash now. We can structure it that way
Yeah.
too. And we
And then
did.
how do you have, if you say your company misses a mortgage payment, are you imminent foreclosure or 2 months, or what does that look like?
So we can, again, we can structure kind of a few different ways to make the seller feel more comfortable. But typically we're going to do like a trust or something like that and make it really simple to where, if we miss payments, that it essentially just automatically reverts the control of the trust back to the seller. Or if they're not comfortable with the trust, we use servicing companies to make our payments. So
Mm-hmm.
we could put it into the documents, where if we don't make payments after a certain amount of time, they can just revert control of the property back through title to the seller. So I mean, there's a
Do
few
you
different ways.
do you have to use your required for something like that? Your required title company, or can we use the title company that we have that we're using?
As long as they really understand how to do a seller finance structure and understand the process of it, we're usually good with it. The only time we get
Okay.
really picky is when we do like mirror wraps and like subject to, because that
Mm-hmm.
is such an intricate process. Like overall, it's not incredibly difficult, but a lot of title companies just don't do it
Yeah.
because it's not very common. Even though everybody's trying to do it, it's still not a very common occurrence, and so yeah, it has to be done a very, very, very specific way. And so we get a little choosy on the title company with that. So we'll just have like our TC, our transaction coordinator, talk to the title company and kind of give them the rundown and, let her kind of decide, you know,
Yeah, I gotcha.
do they get it or do they not?
Yeah, I work with, I would say probably at least, so I own my own brokerage, but I would say at least half, if not more, of my business comes from real estate attorneys. So
Hmm.
I work with a couple local real estate
Oh, that's
attorneys
fine.
here in town. So they're finishing the probate. So for example, this one, McGraw Raba Mutarelli, local real estate attorneys, they completed the probate. They sent this business over to me. Hey, please
Mm,
list your house.
yeah.
So they have done seller financing, and they're real
Okay.
estate attorneys, and they handle title. So they would understand it and know how to do it,
Yeah.
but just didn't know if you had a lot of. I feel like a lot of investors that have stuff, they will not flex. They're like, nope, this is what it is, and you can't change one single facet of anything.
Yeah.
And that makes things difficult,
It
to
does.
just say, I got to deal with every single term of yours. But if there's flexibility here and there, like, okay, well, we can still use our title company, and we can still, where it makes the seller feel comfortable, it
Yeah.
makes me feel comfortable.
Yep.
Because it's like I have them on, they're trusting me. I need to make sure that I'm, I've done that before. Used some title company out of Miami because that's what they wanted to use, and it was a shit show.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and they saved what, $100? I'm like, I will pay you the $100 so you don't use them.
Right. Yeah. I'd much rather do that. And title attorney or closing attorneys are fine with us. Just, we have the same stipulation. As long as they understand the process, then we're fine with it. We just need, because usually part of what we're pitching is like, hey, we can close really fast, right?
Yeah,
So it's like
definitely.
we don't want to deal with somebody that's like does this like once or twice a year, so they have to kind of remind themselves on the process as they're going through it. But it sounds like they do quite a bit of business, and so we'd probably be fine with whatever attorney that you wanted to pick.
I don't usually use a title company. I usually use a real estate attorney.
Yeah, that's fine.
just because if they have legal questions and stuff, it just kind of keeps it all in-house versus having to use an attorney, especially with probate stuff, plus having a title company on top of it.
Yep.
But
makes sense.
For this, I mean, I have the association contact details. I guess my biggest question with this specific unit, if you're not 55 and up, is, you know, can you hold the property for X amount of time, or is it just a flat no? You cannot own. There is a housing for older. I mean, I've included a housing for older persons form, but also an HOA disclosure. But those are just things I included myself as standard, you know, real estate documents.
Yep.
In that one.
Yeah, I guess.
Let me pull out that HOA disclosure.
I guess let me know.
I'll let you know on that one.
Yeah. And anything else you got, I'd love to look at.
I'm about to go to a listing appointment. I think I'm going to list the house for like just under 200. If that doesn't sell, those sellers, we're going to go look at a house at the same time. They may be interested in something like this. It's in Silver Spring Shores, no HOA, no deed restrictions or anything.
Oh, cool.
They've already asked me about, well, what if we get a quick investor? And I'm like, well, you know what that means, that you're probably not going to get the number you want.
Yeah.
But if your goal is to get out of it quickly, then, you know, it could be an option. So I'll keep you posted on that too.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds good. Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head earlier when you're like, most investors like are really rigid with their terms. We're the opposite because we don't know what works best for the seller until we talk to you. So like even our letters of intent are really open-ended because it's like, I could try and force a square peg into a round hole, but like, why do that? Because I'm not really helping anybody at that point. I'm only helping me.
Well, it usually just ends up being like a no. Like, oh yeah, we got this offer for 150 grand less. What do I even do with this? You know?
Right.
We're not even, and they're like, well, can you change this term or do this? And they're like, no. And I'm like, all right, well then that's not going to work.
Because those people operate with calculators and spreadsheets. I don't have spreadsheets. Like I talk to people and I'm like, let's figure out how we can make this work.
Yeah.
Because generally with our offers, like you're going to make more money in the long run anyway. So it's like, you know, and you're still going to get paid and then we're going to make money on it because it fits, you know, into our parameters. So let's just make everybody money. And then me and you are going to do way more business together in the future. So I care more about that than anything.
Yeah. Well, that's great. It's always good to have a good resource, you know, another investor person, you know, kind of in our back pockets too. Yeah. Even though we're investors, you know, our cash is tied up, which sucks.
Yeah,
but
I get it.
I also am not going to take a mega loss on our cute little property. And then the other one is totally legally out of our control unless we kick that sweet old lady out of her rental. And we don't really want to do that either because we're making good money on the rental. So we're, you know, we just have some projects that have to get across the finish line before we take on something else.
Oh, I get it. I mean, sometimes that's why we wholesale properties is because like we understand it's a good deal, but it maybe doesn't fit, you know, our portfolio. So we'll just, you know, wholesale it to another investor that we know because we know it'll work for them. So it's like, why not just get everybody happy and then we'll just send it off to one of our other investor buddies. Like sure. It just kind of depends on the deal. And like we've had deals take so long that should have taken 3 weeks and then it ends up taking almost 2 months because the seller drags their feet. And then by then we've bought something else and tied up our cash. So it's like, well, we'll help you get an end buyer. Like you guys took too long. So
yeah, assign the contract. Well, I'm going to call the HOA before I head out, and I'm going to see if I can get anybody on the phone and just ask them, listen, if someone wants to buy this and hold this for X amount of time, what are the rules around it? I know that title will probably require an estoppel. But the estoppel to me is probably going to be more around the condition of the property, you know, making sure that it meets HOA rules, not necessarily do we need an HOA form. This to me is not a super strict HOA. It's not like some of the other ones around there, like Oak Run and some of the others that require specific forms to be filled out. I don't even know if there's an approval process in here. So it very well could be that someone buys it and then, you know, it's just kind of termed in 55 and up.
Okay. Yeah, let me know. And then we'll see if the partner that says no to everything will be interested.
Well, I would be open to presenting both to the nephew and saying, listen, this is kind of my effort here. I told you to reduce your price. Y'all sat on it for 2 months. My listing agreement's expiring, and I've already sent him an extension, but I'm like, if y'all don't extend it, you're just going to find another realtor that's going to tell you what number you want, and like you can either be realistic and sell it, or you just keep holding it. I mean, I don't know how long you want to hold it for.
Why have they been so rigid on the pricing?
We've done a $3,000 reduction since July. Went on the market in July, at $219. Got them to reduce. They came up. I'm like, this is where you need to reduce to, and they're like, okay, we'll reduce it $3,000. I'm like, all right, well, that's going to do absolutely nothing. And here we are. Now we're in February, and I've re-pulled comps and said, in order to get this sold, this is where I feel like you need to be at. And at least today. And the reason being is not to say that it's not worth more than that. And in 6 months, it very well may be. But there's tons of inventory right now.
Yeah, there is. Yep.
So you got to compete against all this other inventory. And you're a sweet little old lady who's stressed out about this.
Yeah.
Let's be done.
Right.
What's your value of your mindset, and your stress level?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyway, well, I'll inquire with the HOA and I'll let you know about that. So that one, I'll keep you posted on the listing appointment I'm about to go on, because that would be, they may be interested in some sort of financing terms, because they don't necessarily have to sell that to buy, because the wife owns that property, and then their pre-approval for the next house is in husband's name. So they may be interested in doing owner financing or something.
Yeah, that's one of the rare occasions where somebody's buying another property and seller finance may actually be a consideration for them. Usually it's not, but it sounds like for them it may actually be a good option. Yeah,
so we'll see. I mean, if it's sitting longer than a little bit of time, they may be interested in that. So, and then other than that, do you guys do manufactured?
Yeah, we do manufactured. We do mobile. Like we even buy like mobile home parks and RV parks, multifamily. So if you come across any of that stuff, we'll look at it.
I have 2 manufactureds on the market. The first one is brand new construction. It's actually my home inspector that wanted me to list it for him. So he bought the land, put a brand new manufactured on. It's a beautiful little manufactured, but it's out in Morriston, which is a little rural, and it's just kind of sitting. He cannot really flex off his price. He's at $199,000.
Yeah.
He may be a good contestant for an owner finance option as well, because he wants to roll his money into something else soon. So did you see the email? I don't know if I was messaging with your partner or not last night, but I included both of those manufactured homes in there. First one, the one I'm talking about, would not be a good fit for like a low ball cash, because he's got too much cash tied up. That's why we can't reduce it really off $199. I've got him to $199, but we started at like $220. But he may be interested in an owner finance option, which I talked to him about last time on the phone. Hey, I just did a deal about owner financing. This might be a good choice for you. And then the second one, I have an offer in on, but it is definitely a rehab manufacturer that we have on the market, and that's an estate property. So I'm trying to get 6 sellers to agree.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah, So, that's another probate situation.
Okay.
So if you check that email, look at those 2 and let me know if you would want to make a play on either one. I should have feedback hopefully today on the rehab one, the second one on that list.
Okay. Yeah. Just let me know. You can email me on that offers email, or tell you what, I'll just shoot you my contact card. That'll have my personal email on it. And
all right, I'm just going to send you like a Zillow link for these, and that way you have them available.
Yeah, that's fine.
Tell me your email.
Daniel.
Okay.
At Maple, MAPLE.
Okay.
AND, Maple and Millwood, MILLWOOD.com. So it's Daniel at mapleandmillwood.com.
Okay, and I'm just going to have it properties from Emily White.
Sounds good.
And then I'll send you kind of some links to things, and you guys can peruse around and see if any of them could be a fit. And I'll make some notes there too, like this would be a great owner finance option, this would be whatever, and just kind of go from there.
Okay, sounds great. I appreciate your time. It was really nice chatting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Emily.
Okay, thanks. Take care.